Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be making or showing you how to make eczema friendly bath bombs that don't contain citric acid. Now, if you yourself or you've got children with sensitive skin, normal bath bombs can contain a ton of things that can cause problems, especially if they've got eczema or psoriasis or anything like that. Namely, the ingredients that are culprits are artificial fragrances, heavily perfumed products, things with artificial colourings, and also citric acid. Now, citric acid is quite a harmless ingredient, but if you do have sensitive skin, it can make it sore or irritate. So these are bath bombs that I specifically found and adapted for my daughter who's got really sensitive skin. They're really great for all kids, and the essential oils that we're going to be using are appropriate from 2 years plus. So I'm just going to start by showing you these small bath bombs. I make them this size. I use this as my mould rather than the large ones because one, they last longer, and two, you don't need that much in a bath for a kid, especially, you know, a small child. You're only going to be having a shallow bath. So what I do for my daughter who's 5 is I just stick 2 of these, or she chucks 2 of them in the bath. So as you can see, they still fizz really nicely. Fine, they're not as volatile as bath bombs with citric acid, because citric acid is one of the ingredients that actually makes it fizz. But what we're going to be using here is a replacement of that, which is cream of tartar. So you can see they're a nice decent size and they do foam up lovely. Fine, they're not full of colourings, but that's what we're trying to avoid because we're dealing with sensitive skin. So you can just see those bubbling away. They're nice and foamy, they smell delightful, and they've got lovely oils in there which are going to be really good for moisturising the skin, and some really nice salts. You can use Epsom salts or Dead Sea salt, which is really good for cleansing skin, nourishment, and it's got tons of natural minerals in there as well. So I'm just going to pop that to the side and dry my hands. So to begin with, what we're going to do is measure out your ingredients. So you've got a bowl, obviously, for everything to go in. Now, what you're going to need, what you're going to need is 285 grams of bicarbonate of soda. Okay, so that's there measured out. This batch makes 750 grams in total. I will put all the details below, so don't worry about pausing the video, etc. So 285 grams of bicarbonate of soda. We've got 180 grams of cream of tartar. 180 grams of, you can use Epsom salts or Dead Sea salts. I've got Dead Sea salts here. You're going to need some coconut oil, which you're going to need 90 grams of, or 90 ml. I'm going to measure that out as we go. You're going to need some vitamin E. Now what this does is it just stabilises the essential oils, stops them oxidising, stops them going off as quick. Also, vitamin E is really good for the skin, it's got loads of qualities. And you're going to need your essential oils. Now for a sensitive mix, obviously if you're super sensitive, I'd use a patch test anyway first. But if you can't even tolerate essential oils, just leave them out. For sensitive skin, I would recommend the following. So lavender, bergamot and mandarin. Now these are good, nice relaxing essential oils, so they're great for bath time, especially if you're using these for children. But they're also fairly suitable for sensitive skin, and they have got qualities in them that will help. Like I said, if you're super sensitive, don't use them, and patch test first. Now you can use one of those or a combination of them. You're going to put a maximum of 1% in this mix, purely because if you're using it for children, that's a good safe level. So it works out to 7.5 millilitres or 187 drops. Most of these have got drops on, so you can then count them out. So I've done a mixture of all three. If you're going to split it equally, that works out to about 62 drops each, I think, if I'm reading the right calculation. So anyway, You're going to start by adding the bicarb. I shouldn't worry about too much about the lumps. I don't. I'm going to get my hands in there and mix it all together, so I'll break those up as I go. You've got your 180 grams of cream of tartar. 180 grams of, oh sorry, I keep knocking this stand, of your salts. So what I do then is just put your gloves on. You don't have to, but when you're dealing with such a high-ish quantity of essential oils, it's best not really to have them come in direct contact with your skin. And the reason we put the coconut oil in there is, contrary to popular belief, salts by themselves are not carriers for essential oils. I won't go into the ins and outs of all of that now because it's quite long-winded, but the point being that if you don't put a carrier oil in these, the essential oils, once the bath bomb has melted in the bath, will just come into direct contact with your skin, which isn't something you want anyway. And especially if you're super sensitive, you do not want these oils directly on your skin. So anyway, I'm now going to add the, oh no, what I'm going to do is just give it a bit of a mix up so it's fairly evenly distributed. And then what I would do is add your vitamin E oil, which we need 1.5 ml of that. So I've got a pipette here, which makes it easy. Some of them already come with like a pipette on them. It'd help if I kept it in there whilst I brought it out. So that's just under a ml. 1.5, gosh. So I'm just going to... Sorry, this is getting very complicated. And then add your coconut oil. So for this recipe you need 90 ml. So that's 50. And then another 40 going in. And then your essential oils. And then the best thing to do is just get in there with your hands and give this a real thorough mix. Obviously, if you can make these with children, make sure they've got gloves on, but this is a great thing for them to do and keeps them occupied for a bit. And hopefully they won't make a tragic mess of your kitchen. So you can just break up the lumps and things as you go through, or you can just sieve the ingredients in, which would probably be a more intelligent way of doing it, but hey ho. Now what you'll find with a lot of recipes as well is that they use witch hazel or some kind of floral water. That's fine, but you really can't tell if anything's growing in there because it is still water. It doesn't matter the fact that whatever process it's gone through, it has the potential to breed bacteria. Now if you're going to keep these in a jar or on your shelf for a while, you don't want that happening. So just keep mixing it up and the oil will do its job at keeping it sticking together. Now, if you find like this, that it's still a bit of a dry mix, just give it another mix there just to see how dry. Oh, I'm just going to move that out of the way. If you're still finding this is fairly dry, just keep adding the coconut oil. It's not going to ruin the recipe or anything. Just add it a little bit at a time. You can see it's starting to stick together, but I'm not entirely happy that that's enough at the moment. So I'm just going to give another little squirt there. Don't just add water. Don't add more essential oils or vitamin E or other. Coconut oil. It's not a problem, and you know it's not going to harm if you put too much in. It's just going to go really sloppy if you put too much in. So this is coming together nicely, and I think actually I'm going to need another little slosh in there. It's the same as if you're making cakes. Sometimes it comes out too dry, sometimes it's a bit less dry. It really just depends on the day, the mixture, environment, whatever. Right, so like I said before as well, I use the small spoon thing to measure it out, and you get about 24 of those out of this mixture. So for 2 per bath for children, you can add an extra 2 per bath for adults, so a total in 4, so they will last a while. And unlike big bath bombs, which, you know, are wonderful and smell lovely, you probably only get about 4 of those out of this, if that. So, you know, this is just a extra amount. Now I'm going to go in with the other more oil. Just like I said, just keep adding as you need to, but for some reason this mixture is just really dry today. As long as you can see it like that and it's not just completely crumbling the second you squeeze it together, then that's absolutely fine. Also, another thing which I didn't do, which is best to do, is just mix the dry ingredients together first before you start adding the wet ingredients. But because you're not using citric acid, you don't have such a volatile reaction. So unlike normal bath bombs, when you're making them, if you start to pour all the ingredients in, it will start to fizz and stuff. This is a lot slower reacting, so that's quite handy. Right, I'm harping on, but whilst I'm doing that, I'm just going to clear this quick. And what you'll need now is just like a baking sheet. You can keep your gloves on for this bit. I'm going to take them off for the moment for demonstration purposes. It's just far easier. So get your paper there. Just move this out of the way. There we go. So I am going to need a bigger bit, but I'll just use this to demo how we're going to do this. So once you know that everything is just mixed together nicely, you want to grab a spoonful like that, smooth off the top, pat it in, make sure it's really compact. What I like about this method is it reduces the problem of using a mould where it can stick and fall apart and crumble, and it's just a bit of a nightmare. Plus they dry a lot quicker. So you're just compacting it down so it looks like that. This is a, what is it? A 1 tablespoon measuring spoon, the metal ones. You could probably use the plastic ones. I sometimes use for bigger bombs, bath bombs, these measuring cups. I don't use this one, I use the slightly smaller one, which I think is like 1/3 cup. So you can make a big one of those. So anyway, pat it down like that, and literally you are just tapping them out. Just keep going. So scoop it out. I don't know if you can see this. Scoop it out, pat it down, and you can literally set up a small production line. Just keep going until you run out of mixture, and that is basically it. So I would leave them on the tray like that to dry, probably overnight, to be honest, is the best amount of time. Line them up, let them dry out, and then once they are dry, you can either buy on places like Amazon these bags. You will, well, these are paper, which is great, but they will need a liner, unfortunately, because otherwise the oils will seep through the bag. Or use one of these. This is PET plastic, so it's fully recyclable and it's not single use. You can reuse it again, or like I said, it can be recycled, so it's the best of the worst. And you can fit a good load in there, and they'll just sit nicely on your bathroom shelf until you make another batch. So that's about it. If you've got any questions, do drop me a note below and I'll try and answer them, but I will put all the details and the full recipe in there. Till later, thanks for now.